Kids, I want to make a video to walk you through this literary essay in chart form. You may notice on Classroom that there are two versions of this. One says less scary. It's the same as this one, but it has pictures of puppies and kitties and stuff in it. So you can do either one. The content in both is the same. I'm not going to read this first page of instructions out loud to you. I want you to read it to yourself. It gives you some more specific information about how to fill in this chart. There maybe are a couple things here that I could just highlight. A lot of what's going in the chart, you're just pasting from your device's doc, so that's pretty easy. And there are also a lot of places where you're just filling in a sentence. That's easy too. When you're done with this doc, you're going to have a whole essay, and you only put one sentence in each box. So please do read all of this. But those are some important things I say in here that I want to emphasize. If you scroll down, you'll see you have a red chart, which is your introductory paragraph. You have a yellow chart, that's your first body, a green chart, that's your second body, a blue chart, that's your third body, and a purple chart, that is your conclusion. Now, each of these charts has so much writing in it because the left-hand column tells you what to write. This column here explains why you're writing it. This can help you understand better what should go in the blanks if you're confused. And then the far right-hand column is the example. Now, here's a mistake I see some kids make. Instead of reading the what to write column, they just imitate the example and make a good guess about what they think they should write. Don't do that, because it'll lead you astray. Write what it tells you here. So let's just jump right in. What is the first thing we're supposed to write in the introduction? Well, this is a fill in the blank. And the way you're going to fill it in is every place where you see brackets, you replace what's inside the brackets with what it's telling you to put in there. So here we're going to say in, and then you're going to say his or her, and then poem. So you could just copy and paste that. And let's see, what is our poem here for the example is not bad, Dad, not bad. So in her poem, and then you're going to put the title of the poem in quotes and then a comma. You know what? I could just copy and paste this and then go over and get my title. So, okay. I'm not sure why that's, oh yeah, I know why that's highlighted. And then you're going to put your author's first and last name. So that's Chan Heller Levi. And then you're going to pick one of these. See how they're separated by dashes? Explores the issue of, deals with the subject of, examines the nature of, or explores the idea of. I'm just going to pick the first one to make it quick, but pick the one that you like the sound of. Explores the issue of, and then an abstract noun in your theme. You found your theme already in that assignment called Find 3 Devices in Your Theme. But it's also in your thesis statement, which you finished at this point as well. So here's your theme. Suffering and pain can lead to understanding the reality of life. That's the theme in this example I'm using. Oh, sorry, abstract noun. My thoughts were wandering for a moment. Okay, I was about to make the mistake a lot of kids make. They paste the whole theme here, but you really just paste an abstract noun. Okay, so what is an abstract noun here? Suffering, or pain, or the reality of life. So I'll just pick any one of them. Honestly, I got 3 good ones. I'll say suffering. And then here's something you could do. You could copy this whole fill in the blank, paste it, and then fill it in here. She, and then let's say especially. And then you're going to pick either asks if or asks whether or wonders if, or let's just do the first one. You can pick whichever one you want. I'm just doing the first one to make it go faster. And then your theme in a way that makes sense. Now we did the whole theme. Suffering and pain and lead to understanding the reality of life. So let's just paste it there. Doesn't matter if it's yellow right now. We can make it black later. And does it make sense? We had to put it in a way that makes sense. She especially asked if suffering and pain can lead to understanding the reality of life. Yes, it does. Now, what have we just done here? We opened the paper very gently, just telling our reader that this author in this poem is exploring this big, big, big idea. And then we're getting a little more specific and saying, well, here's what she's kind of wondering about that big idea. And then in a minute, we're going to put the whole thesis statement and say, okay, she is saying it straight out. But before we get to that, we've got to summarize the poem because your reader, let's say it's your mom, hasn't read this poem. So nothing that you write is going to make sense to her unless we summarize it. So you're going to begin with in the poem. Let's just copy and paste this. In the poem, summarize the poem for someone who's never read the poem before. So I might say something like, the speaker is watching her father swim. She remembers how she used to think he was a bad father and regrets that she judged him so harshly. Now, I'm not going to write all that right now, but that's the kind of thing you could write. In the poem, the speaker, blah, 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 blah. And then if you want to add a second sentence, if necessary, gray boxes are optional boxes. So the fact you have a white box and a gray box here means you must put at least one sentence of retelling the poem, and you may put two. And I'm just going to pretend I'm putting two. She blah, 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 regrets judging her father so harshly. And then here, paste the thesis statement you already wrote. Yay! Let's do the whole thing. Copy it. And paste it. Through repetition, imagery, and symbolism, Haller shows the readers that suffering and pain can lead to understanding the reality of life. Now, your first body paragraph is going to be about repetition. That one. Your second body paragraph is going to be about imagery. And your third body paragraph is going to be about symbolism. And each one of them is going to go pretty much the same way. So each one of them starts with a T sentence, and it's a fill in the blank. Then you have two boxes for evidence. That's E. Does this sound familiar? Text E. Then you have X, where you paste a feeling sentence. And then I call this a C sentence because C for connect back makes more sense to me, but I know your teachers also call it a Y sentence. And you get an extra box for explanation. So the first body paragraph, the second body paragraph, and the third body paragraph all follow that same format. I'm just going to do one body paragraph to show it to you. Okay, so I'm just going to copy and paste this format. Transition language for a first body paragraph. This links to some examples of transition language, but good transition language for a first body paragraph might be like first off, or you could say to start. And then the author's last name, Heller Levi, uses, and your first device. What did we say the first device was? Repetition. Repetition. To, and then you either say, sorry about that. Then you either say that, or show that, or express the idea that, or communicate the idea that. Let's just do say that. And then, once again, your whole theme. What's your whole theme? This thing. Now, you're thinking to yourself, wow, I'm using my theme a lot. Doesn't it sound repetitive? Yes, it does. But we're going to fix that when we do our editing and revising. So for now, just let it be repetitive. First off, Heller Levi uses repetition to say that suffering and pain can lead to understanding the reality of life. Now, these next two boxes are evidence boxes. The second one is where you paste the highlighted quote. And the box before it is where you set up the quote a little bit, because you can't jump right into the quote. So let's go look at what our highlighted quote is. What do we do for repetition? Oh, okay. So I think in line 1 and I think in line 9. So I'm going to copy. And then I'll just write and. I think how everything. So the author is repeating, I think. I don't know why those are highlighted. Okay, So hopefully you can see now why we need to introduce the quote. If we say, first off, Heller Levi uses repetition to express her theme, and then we jump right into the quote, this doesn't make sense to a reader. A reader doesn't understand what the heck this is. Like, so your mom, for example, your mom doesn't understand what the heck this is showing. So we need to introduce the quote a little. Here are examples of how to introduce your evidence. Let's go look real quick. And there are different ones depending on what device it is. We're doing repetition, so introducing repetition might sound like throughout the poem, well, no, in our poem it's twice. In stanza 5, as the speaker, blah, blah, he repeats, how about this one? Twice in the poem, the speaker, okay, this one sounds pretty good. It's not exactly what's going on, but it's close. So let's copy it and then just change it a little bit. Twice in the poem, the speaker uses the words, I think. And then let's do a colon. Colon is really useful here. And now we've introduced our evidence, and then we've got our evidence. Now we're going to paste our feeling sentence. See right here, paste your feeling sentence. And let's copy and paste that. This repetition makes the reader notice all the always over a little dash, always blah, 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 blah. Okay. This girl wrote 3 sentences for her feeling sentence. I'm not going to be super picky about that. That's absolutely fine. And then this is one of the only places where you have to come up with your own sentence. Explain how the feeling connects to the theme. So what is the feeling? Disregard. Oh, stop, Grammarly. My goodness. No, go away. So disregard, thinking, reality. So why don't we try copying this template? What we want to say is that somehow this idea of disregard that the speaker had for her dad connects back to the theme, which is that suffering and pain can lead to the understanding the reality of life. So let's say the idea of, and then let's say disregard, connects to the idea that, and then we put our theme once again, and I'll just remind you that we are going to switch it up later, but right now it's okay to be repetitive. And then we're going to explain how they connect, because the speaker's disregard for her father led to her understanding her father better. Let's say her early disregard. All right. Now, if I felt I hadn't really explained the connection well enough, I could have another sentence here, but I don't think I need one right now. So let's go back and look at what we just did. We had a T sentence. Jan Heller Levi is using repetition to say her theme, is telling the reader what the first body paragraph is about. Then we're introducing our quote from our poem. And then here we pasted the quote. It says format your quote correctly. I'm going to talk to you all more about quote formatting in class, but you can click on this and look at it yourself. I'll just do that real quick right now. That's from lines 1, comma, and line 9. And that's what you do. I think you need a little space right there. And then we paste our feeling sentence, because the feeling sentence explains the emotion that's coming from the quote. We already wrote it. And then we write this sentence. You could write it out of your own head or use this template. And then you're done. Now you're going to repeat that for your second body paragraph, just using different transition language, like you might say secondly or additionally or also or furthermore. You're going to write it for your third body paragraph, and you might say finally or to finish or thirdly or third. So those two are pretty easy. Then last one, your conclusion. Conclusion for this paper is just 2 sentences. I know some teachers want a longer conclusion. This one is short. You're going to put your thesis statement here in slightly different words and use the author's full name. And this is how we gracefully wrap up the paper. So let's just paste the thesis statement again and reword it. Here's that thesis statement. We had it at the beginning. Let's bring it down here. And I'm just going to reword it and then delete the original one. Heller uses the literary devices, symbolism, sorry, I want to do the same order. Repetition, symbolism, and imagery to, and we can say we or us here. It tends to sort of tell your reader that we're finishing, to show us that instead of suffering and pain, I'll say painful feelings. Painful feelings can help us understand life better. How about can actually help us understand life better? All right, so I think I rewrote this sufficiently. I'm going to delete that. And then you're going to say either as a result or this or that or readers. And it's just something big in general about like how the poem affects people or changes people. So if you were going to say as a result, you might say as a result, readers learn that suffering can actually have a purpose. Oh, I already said actually. Let's get rid of this one. And if I were going to say this, I could say this lesson brings people closer to appreciating their own unpleasant feelings. Or I could say that, or I could say something like readers understand as a result. I want to put as a result in there again. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to do 3 of them. You get the idea. It's just a big, big, big statement about how the poem affects people. And the whole purpose of it is just to signal to your mom that your mom is the reader, right? To signal to your mom that the paper is done. Over here, I ended my example one with imagery, word choice, and repetition. Robert Frost reminds us that blah, 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 blah. As a result, readers gain empathy, or readers come to a better understanding of. Now listen, don't let me see you write readers gain empathy for. Don't imitate my example. It won't work for you. And please don't say readers come to a better understanding of blank through so-and-so's simple and beautiful poem. Use your own, right? Don't just imitate mine. This is not hard. You can totally do it. So once you've done all this, you have your essay, and all that's left is putting it in a Google Doc and formatting it and making it look nice and pretty, and then some editing and proofreading. And I just want to point out yet again that most of this document is either pasting stuff you already wrote or filling in the blanks. This is a very easy essay to write, I promise. Don't let yourself get freaked out. All right, that's it. Go forth and write.